Listen live on digital, online, smart speaker, or the BBC Sounds app.
So welcome to the programme, Niamh McDermott, trainee journalist who's here to review some of the papers with us here on 5 Live. Hi Niamh, how are you?
Hi Johnny, I'm doing really good, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Although I have to say, whenever I ask people that question at the moment, there is a definite, I think, air of sadness in people's response. It's kind of hard at the moment not to feel overwhelmed by what's happening in the world.
Yeah, and it's very hard to respond to it just as I'm going through these papers before I review them as well, of course.
What are the papers saying this morning then about the conflict?
Yeah, so obviously the ongoing conflict is all over the papers, and every paper's kind of taken a different angle this morning. So they have Johnny, because the Daily Mail has gone in for a big photo of Putin and the sign saying wanted for war crimes, and the wanted's quite large there. And then the Daily Express has gone in with a quote from Boris saying the weapons are on the way, but time is very, very tight. And the same with the Daily Telegraph from the Prime Minister saying we must stop the nuclear disaster. And the Times have gone in with a quote which was actually on a banner saying, "Welcome to hell, Russians." And each of them have kind of taken this different angle as well. And the Daily Mail actually has gone in with kindness amid the carnage, which is something a bit different. And it's how Britain has launched a 3-year visa scheme for Ukrainian refugees, which is great. So it is.
There is the other element to kindness, and that's what people are doing on a personal level to help. And we're talking a lot about that throughout the course of the show. And there definitely feels like people have been absolutely compelled to help any way they can in this conflict, whether it's giving money or whether it's actually getting in trucks and driving out there to offer aid and medical assistance. It feels to me like there is an absolute desire to want to help people through this conflict this time around.
There definitely is, Johnny. And just what the Financial Times has in there is that the refugees fleeing from Ukraine has passed 1.2 million now. And like you said, that kindness, people, you can feel useless in a time like this, and people really are helping. Now, I know that I have started an I Ukraine appeal, and readers have raised over 85k in the first 12 hours. And similarly, the Daily Mail have started an appeal which has gone past 3.5 million from their readers. And with everyone's doing what they can, whether it is donating money, food, clothes which are being shipped off, or whether it's simply talking about it like we're doing now and spreading awareness on social media. I know personally I've been talking to a girl that has fled from Ukraine, and she's in Poland at the minute, and she's a mum of a son. And I've just been simply firing a message over here and there, and she's just kind of telling me what it's like living in Ukraine first and now being in Poland as we go into day 9, and just doing them small things. Kind of, I think it helps yourself, and it's helping other people maybe on a small note.
Yeah.
And using that word kindness, which the Daily Mail has gone with.
Yeah, I think it's really important actually when you say it helps yourself. It kind of gives you that focus to, in a way, take your mind off it, but focus your mind on it, which are two kind of parallels, but also kind of a paradox. It's a weird thing to explain, but I think I totally understand where you're coming from. One other thing you mentioned that the press is obviously talking about is that nuclear aspect of it. You'll be way too young to remember anything about the Cold War, and you will not have been born or be familiar, I'm sure, with the term mutually assured destruction and all that kind of stuff that we used to talk about back in the day. But when it comes to nuclear conflict, how does that feel? How does that sit with you, Niamh? What are you and your friends talking about when people start talking about nuclear weapons?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm only 20, as you said, so I wasn't alive for any of this. But just talking about it recently, me and a couple of friends were kind of just discussing what it actually is and what it means. I mean, like, we've watched documentaries on Chernobyl and things like that. And as we can see in all the papers, like, it stopped the nuclear disaster, and Daily Star calling Putin a nuclear nut job. And I think that's really kind of emphasising on this is serious, and this is really serious. Like, you're kind of listening, and it is fearful, and like you says, we haven't really got a proper understanding of it, but within doing research, it's just simply scary. That's the only words you can use. It's scary, and we don't have an understanding. I don't think I understand how powerful it could be. As it says, I wasn't alive during that, so as me and my friends are discussing it, it's kind of just more on like a personal note, and what is this actually going to mean for us here in the UK, for my family back in Ireland. And I know, like, my friend was talking that she's got family in Australia and Ukraine as well, and just discussing them things. It's like, what does it actually mean and what is going to happen? And it's the fear and the unknown, which is always the worst.
Yeah, I mean, the fear can be oppressive. That sense of unknown is a heavy weight to bear. One of the things that's really struck everybody, I think, is just the pictures that are coming out of any of the cities that's currently being targeted by Putin and his forces, the families especially, and the tragedy of fathers and sons having to leave their families at the borders and turn back to fight. Every day you pick up the papers, there is a gut-wrenching picture in there, and I wonder which ones stand out for you today.
Yeah, Johnny, you're right. The whole week, it's just been very emotional photos. I've seen a lot of kids being born and photos of newborn babies. But a couple that particularly struck me today was the Times and the Eye, who've gone in with the same photo, and it's of a woman, and she's wrapped in a coat, and it's a house on the high flames behind her. It looks as if she's doing an interview. She's in the middle of speaking. It's like a screenshot almost of it, but the house is in absolute flames behind her. And it's the same with the Independent. And it's on the caption underneath is a family fleeing a burning house, and the house is in absolute flames with black smoke coming out, and it's 3 men carrying out bags and boxes of clothes and personal items, and it's really striking. And another one is the Daily Telegraph. I'm not sure if you've seen it there, Johnny, but it's really upsetting. It's what I imagine is a mum and dad, and they're holding their son's hand, and the young boy seems to be only about 4 years of age, and it's almost like they're in a rush. They're dragging the boy. You can see him, he's kind of lifted off his feet, and in the background, if you just look in the photo, it's so much wreckage. There's water that must have been caused by some flood. And then the dad's holding, which I think is just really, really incredible photo. He's holding, which is like a teddy of a bright green cactus, a really colourful toy or teddy. I just think that's really, really special and important, because behind them you can just see the trees and plants that have completely burned down and they're non-existent.
Yeah, and it's displaying vividly and horrifically the human cost of what is happening right now in the Ukraine. And of course, there is other news as well that we've learned this afternoon, and that's the death of the cricket legend Shane Warne, who's died at 52 years old. Yeah,
that's another headline that's in a lot of the papers today, and it's just a lot of the papers are paying respects to him, calling him a cricket legend, and the Daily Express Sports says that he was Australian spin master, and the Daily Star I think went in with a great one, which was he is a cricket legend and an all-round top bloke as well.
And I think the thing about this that's shocked many people, of course, is the age, but it's the fact that Shane Warne was one of those sports people that transcended the sport they're in. You don't have to be a fan of cricket to know or know of Shane Warne, and that always resonates more with people.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'll admit I've never seen a cricket game in my life, and I know I'll be getting abused for saying that now once I come off the radio, but I've never seen a cricket game. But of course we've all heard of Shane Warne and seen photos of him, and it's kind of only properly clicked when I was looking through the photos, which his face is plastered all over the papers, and I was like, oh yes, I did know him. I've seen him popping around everywhere, and just like they said, an all-round top bloke, which I think is a fantastic statement that the Daily Star used there.